Good morning.
Good morning.
Here we are at the time when a great age, the Age of Pisces, has ended. Well, we're still dealing with the results of 2,000 years of unenlightened self-interest. As a matter of fact, it's still producing its energy. But at the same time, another great age, the Age of Aquarius, has begun to enter into the picture. As a matter of fact, it's already here. It, too, has its own energy. Now, use your imaginations. Imagine these two great ages as sound. The Piscean age has a sound. The Aquarian age has a sound. We don't know exactly how long ago it was that the actual age started bringing in its sound, but now we do, because we can feel it as it is growing stronger. And at the same time, still the sound of the Piscean age is here, to where the two are coming together, and one is diminishing and another one is amplifying, but in the moment they are producing a very discordant resonance. Now, if you can't get this sound-wise, use your imagination again and imagine. In one hand, I hold the Piscean age, and in the other, the Aquarian age. And I take both of these stones and I throw them into the ocean, the universal ocean. You know how it is when a stone is still water? It produces ripples. Imagine these two coming together and then hitting each other. Anybody who's ever thrown rocks into the water, you know how that happens. You begin to see that from the outward expanding ripple wave, these two come together and they cancel each other out. But in canceling each other out, they produce another frequency. And this right now is the interference pattern frequency that we're all living. We're all living this interference pattern. Get a feel for this now, because this is so much bigger and embraces and affects all of us. This Pisces, Aquarius interference pattern is so disharmonic that it is actually shaking the old paradigm apart as we're living. Everything is free falling. There's a total system failure that is occurring. This interference pattern is becoming known as a standing wave resonance. And here's the real meat of it. This standing wave resonance is creating new possibilities. Now, you, me, all of us, we all have the capacity to tap into this by aligning our own energy with it. But if you believe that this is really you that's falling apart, then it's going to be a little more difficult for you. As a matter of fact, you may feel like you are really falling apart. And you feel like it to such an extent that you really start falling apart just to confirm to yourself you're really falling apart. When what's really falling apart is the old paradigm in you. The old paradigm all about you. This this overtone resonance that I'm speaking of, it challenges our perceptions on a daily basis. I don't believe there's anyone here who hasn't, in almost every day of your recent life, at some time or another wondered, what is going on? Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? I mean, everybody else is walking around in their zombie, normal-like state. What's wrong with me? Well, you know, I just had to get that in there. There's a good reason for it, too. But look at this now and see if this isn't just the ideal or the perfect time to choose to quietly go within your center and to ground. And to let this be the way that you choose to deal with all of these discordant energies. But I agree with you. There's nothing quite as difficult to comprehend as perception. We think we know all about it, and all we're doing is simply mentally parrot-like repeating what we've been taught, which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the reality of the situation. Now, there's a science. I'm sure all of you are familiar with it. Some kibosh it, some exalt it. But nevertheless, when you're speaking of things like this, you're speaking in the realm of quantum metaphysics. Quantum metaphysics holds that whenever two or more choices are there to be made, either by an individual or a species, that a possible reality exists for each choice. Think about it now, because this is what we are confronted with. We consider the possibilities of who we are and who we are becoming, what the world is and what the world is becoming. And of course, the paradigm that's in effect right now is one or the other. When the fact is there are many possibilities to choose from here now. But this statement that I just made is something to take into account, because once you actually make a choice, all the others that you considered as possibilities have then brought themselves forward into a place of probability that you then chose what you did. But all of them continue to move on with their own attending energy, because all of these possibilities exist and they will be played out simultaneously. Now, once again, I'm going to ask you, use your imagination here. Imagine that what we're talking about as an example is a satellite TV. A satellite TV has all of these different channels available, and each one vibrates at its own frequency. They all simultaneously exist, and they're all simultaneously playing out whatever they have going on in them. What is it that you want? Who do you want to become? If we are all involved in this, and this really isn't you that you're feeling with all of this intensity, then you have an opportunity to make a choice here about what you're going to do with it. Now, granted, the manicured consensus reality provided for us by a state of sponsored belief system. Hope you got that. If not, let me give it to you again. In the manicured consensus reality provided for us as a state-sponsored belief system. You're starting to get it right. One more time. In the manicured consensus reality provided for us by a state-sponsored belief system. It's like all we're ever allowed to see are 3 black and white channels. That's it. And we have come to believe that that's all that there is available. And like zombie-type robots, we go from this black and white to that black and white to that black and white, back and forth. But there are a few people who are starting to say, hey, there is available to you an infinite number of colored channels that you can tune into. And more are starting to say this. But nobody believes them because the indoctrination has been so consistently good. In fact, the propaganda is so effective that not only do the majority not believe the stories of unlimited viewing, they won't even take a look for themselves. Look to see. I've got too much to do. I'm far too busy. I have way too many problems. Plus, the next episode of As the Stomach Churns is going to be really exciting. I can't miss that one. Now, is that programming or is that programming? But you see, here you and I are. Here we are. And here are others very, very similar to us who are starting to recognize the infinite possibilities that are available to us if we will stop believing that this that's breaking up and falling apart is us and realize it's simply the old paradigm that is coming apart as it is designed to, so that the new age of Aquarius can come in and eventually establish its residence without any interference whatsoever. That is coming. But in between now and then, we have to deal with what is. And this is, again, where I encourage you to realize, hey, you can do something about it. It's up to you to choose to do something about it. And one of the choices can very well be that you go within to that quiet, still space and you make connection with your higher self. Because this is the part of you that will never deceive you, will never, ever, ever abandon you, is always with you, always for you, always supporting you. When you tune into it, you're going to get accuracy without any doubt whatsoever. So, here in the midst of this great shift of ages, it is now time for humanity to pick which reality, which timeline we will actually bequeath upon our children. The only timeline that really matters is the one you're in. And then the next question arises. You're going to stay there? Or are you going to choose to ascend? Raise your rate of vibration, keep it up, and see where you go. Thank you. For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.